Hello, and welcome back to Boozy Bookish Thoughts. I'm Justine, or Jay if you prefer, and welcome to my new video. So today, full disclosure, I'm having kind of a bad mental health week, but I really wanted to get this video up, so I'm pushing through. So just apologies if I'm not as there. But so today we will be doing the mid-year book freakout tag. So this is kind of like a summary of where we are, of where I am in my reading for the year 2020, 2022. Oh gosh, no one wants to go back to 2020. For the year 2022, and there are 16 prompts or 16 questions, and I'll be going through them today. And I hope you pour a glass. I'm drinking some of my birthday sparkling wine. So I hope you pour a glass and join me for a little chit chat. It's a little flat already, but it's still good. Okay, so the question starts out with the best book I've read so far for 2022, and that is easily Traitor's Blade by Sebastian de Castell. I was not expecting to like this book nearly as much as I did, but I've it's a bit funny because I started my channel just around the time that I was reading this, so I've been raving about this book on my channel. But it's amazing. I'll talk about it some more in my wrap up. But definitely, it's the best book I've read for 2022. Some follow ups would be the Dragonlance Chronicle series, the Three Body Problem, and it's a bit difficult to say it's the best because it's a memoir, but I mean, it is definitely very meaningful for me, which is the Autism in Heels. So those are some of the runners up for that category. The next is the best sequel I read in 2022, and that is definitely Dragons of Winter Night by Margaret Weiss and Tracy Hickman. So that is the second book in the Dragonlance Chronicle series, and it's a very good book. In some ways, I liked it better than the first book. I talked about this a lot in my July wrap up video. I gave a pretty deep dive and deep analysis on my thoughts of this book there. So I will try and link it somewhere here so you can check that out. The next question is favorite reread. And I actually haven't reread any book this year. Mm, I mean, arguably I have because I always go back and like read little bits and snippets of books, like pages I've earmarked um or bookmarked on my Kindle. But I haven't reread an entire book in its entirety. Um Arguably you could qualify the Three Body Problem by Xixin Liu here because I had read like 70% of this back in like 2018 and then stopped. And then as part of the unfinished project, I went back and I read it again, but I had forgotten most of it, so I started from the beginning. So it was like a reread for like 70% of the book. But to be honest, because of depression, I had forgotten most of it, so I don't know if you want to qualify that. Genre that I've been reading or enjoying the most. Now, according to my story graph, I will try and put a figure here. According to my story graph, I've been reading the most fantasy, followed not so closely by mystery, which tracks. This is my usual standard habit. Reading mostly fantasy, followed closely by mystery, not so closely by mystery. So this is not surprising. New release you haven't read yet but want to. Now this is a bit of a question. Actually, the next three questions are a bit hard for me because, to be honest, I don't keep up with new releases that well. I'm constantly reading books like 2 or 3 years after they've been released. But I'm doing a better job now. I'm trying to read more new releases and trying to keep on top of them faster or better. Um, so I did a little research on what books I have on my TBR, which are new releases, and I found one which I definitely want to read, and that is The Maid by Nita Prose. And I think it released early this year, like around January this year, January, February this year. And I originally wasn't too keen on reading this, but then I read a review somewhere that questioned whether the main character was supposed to be autistic or autistic coded. And so I got a little bit curious, and I want to see if my thoughts on that, if she does read to me as autistic or not. Um, or if she is coded to be autistic, whether it's a good representation or not. Um, so I'm listing this as the book that, as a new release, I haven't read yet, but I want to. I do own it. I picked it up for on sale just like a week ago or so. So hopefully it will get to it this year. And the new release you wanted to read but aren't sure about anymore. Um, uh, it's a bit funny because I'm reading it right now, and that is Reckless Girls by Rachel Hawkins. I listed it as part of my July TBR, and I'm like 4 or 5 chapters into the audiobook right now. And it's okay, it's not amazing, but I've heard some very lukewarm reviews here on BookTube, which from booktubers that I trust pretty well. So it's making me question if I should just DNF it right now and forget about it. But so far, it's holding my attention, so I'm going to keep on reading it. And as I've said before, I have problems DNFing books. Um, so hopefully, I will get through it and form my own opinion, and we'll see. I'll talk about it with all of you. The next is most anticipated release for the second half of the year. So like I said, I don't really keep up with new releases. Um, I'm trying to do a better job of it now, but honestly, it's not a priority for me. Um, I am a little bit interested in Babel. There seems to be some confusion on how it's pronounced. Where I'm from, it's pronounced Babel, or at least the Christians pronounce it Babel. So, I am a little interested in Babel. The concept seems very interesting, and I've heard rave reviews about it from booktubers who received the arc. Um, but honestly, I'm a little intimidated by its length and by how academic it's supposed to be. I don't know if I will. Um, um, it's not to say I don't enjoy academic work, but I tend to be pretty choosy about it. So we'll see if I pick it up. I might pick it up as an audiobook instead if I can, so that I can process it that way rather than having to read it. But yeah, that's my answer for this prompt. The next biggest disappointment. There are several, but I will list Gallant by V.E. Schwab as my biggest disappointment. Um, Mostly because this is the first book I've ever read of V.E. Schwab, and I've heard her hyped up so much, and this was just really meh. Very disappointing, very unremarkable. Um, and yeah, it was just a big disappointment. I expected more from the hype from her. The one saving quality is that I've heard from so many other people that they didn't enjoy this V.E. Schwab either, but that they have enjoyed her other works. So as possible, it's just not her best work. I'm holding out hope for my other. I have a few of her others on my TBR, so I'm holding out hope that one of her other works will impress me. Runners up for this category are Daughter of the Moon Goddess by Su Lin Tan, which I has disinclined me from picking up anything else up by that author, and The Sword of Destiny by Andrei Skakowski. The Witcher series. The second short story book in the Witcher series. I'm so sorry for not being able to pronounce his name. Um, I was um I also decided to discontinue that series. But I already didn't enjoy the first book, so I wasn't too surprised that I didn't enjoy this one. But yeah. Biggest surprise is still definitely Traitor's Blade by Sebastian de Castell. I was not expecting to like this book as much as I did. I was not expecting to find a new favorite series at all. Just goes to show that my bookish optimism really pays off, because I am always of the opinion that your next favorite book is always out there. You never know when you're going to encounter it. And this was definitely true for my experience with Traitor's Blade. Um, I was going into it thinking it would be just a regular fantasy book, and instead, it blew my mind. I love it. I love the world building. I love the characters are awful people, but they're pretty interesting. And yeah, I love it. Favorite new author, obviously Sebastian de Castell. Um, I raved about that book just like 2 seconds ago. Newest fictional crush. No one really. Like I said, the characters in Trader's Blade are pretty awful. Not exactly people you want to form a healthy relationship with or are capable of forming a healthy relationship with. Mm. If I had to pick, I've only read one romance this year so far, and that is Love at First by Kate Claiborne, one of my favorite romance authors. And actually, the male lead there is a pretty is pretty inspiring, but he's a pretty swoon worthy guy. His name's Will Sterling, and um the way that the romance is structured means that both he and the female character had to do a lot of growing and a lot of work on themselves before they could be together, which is one of the reasons why I love Kate Claiborne, because she does her character so well. And this guy had a lot of hangups, a lot of issues that he had to overcome before he could be in the relationship. But he didn't treat the relationship as therapy. He worked on it on his own and then pursued the relationship. So I that's admirable, and that's someone that you think you could have a healthy relationship with. So yeah, that's my answer. Will Sterling, Love at First, Kate Claiborne. Newest favorite character. My newest favorite character, oh my gosh, I love this, is Tasselhoff Barefoot. Isn't that such a cute name? Tasselhoff Barefoot, or Tass, is a Kender, or is the Kender from the party, from the adventuring party of the Dragonlance Chronicles. And he's a Kender, and he's just adorable. He's just so inquisitive, so impulsive. He had he is admittedly he's a bit of a joke character, but in the second book he does a lot of really important plot stuff too. Um Actually, even in the first book he does a lot of important plot stuff. But I just really relate to him because his curiosity is 10 out of 10. Like, he was being attacked by a dragon and he didn't want to close his eyes because he wanted to see what the dragon looked like up close to satisfy his curiosity. And I'm like, yeah, even if I'm about to die, that's how I do it. His impulsiveness is also very relatable to me. And yeah, he's just my favorite character. He's adorable and I love him. Book that made me cry. I'm going to answer the next two with the same book. Book that made me cry and book that made me happy. Both of these, I will say, is Autism and Heels by Jennifer Cook O'Toole, or Jennifer O'Toole. I think she writes under both names. Um, it was a memoir about a woman who was diagnosed with autism in her mid 30s after her children were diagnosed with autism. And it just really resonated with me because it talked about the symptoms of autism that women experience that are so different from how the clinical perception of autism is expected to present. and it led to my own autism diagnosis. So this book is very meaningful to me. I didn't exactly cry, but there are chapters on eating disorders and on intimate partner violence, which were very difficult to read for someone who struggles with similar issues. Um, so it was a very triggering book. It was a very emotional book, but it made me so happy. It made me feel so validated, so heard. And like I said, it led to my own autism diagnosis journey. So I'm so happy that this book is out there, and I recommend it to everybody. Most beautiful book, none really, because I don't purchase copy books anymore. So yeah, I'm not going to answer that. What books do you need to read before the end of the year? In a couple weeks, I'm going to be posting about my 22 for 2022 books, which are the 22 books I said I wanted to read this year. But it's already going to be August in a week, and there's no way I'm going to finish what's left of them within the few months that are left of the year. So I need to re-strategize and reprioritize which books I'm going to try and finish and which ones I'm going to have to let go of. Just to give you a bit of a taste for that, I think I'm going to be prioritizing Battleground by Jim Butcher, which is from my favorite book series, The Dresden Files, and I really want to finish this. Terry Pratchett's Color of Magic, because I just want to finally be able to say I've read Pratchett, and Trevor Noah's Born a Crime. So these are the three books that I'm thinking I will prioritize from my 22 books of 2022. Um, but I will discuss this more and think about this some more between now and when I post that other video. So if you want to see that video, please subscribe and comment down below what other books you think I should be prioritizing until the end of the year. What about you? Tell me what books you have read this 2022 which really struck home and which changed your life or is now your new favorite book. I'm so interested to know. I want to hear all your thoughts. So comment down below. Tell me what you're reading, what you're thinking about. How is your reading challenges going? Um, that's it for today from me. I hope you had fun and cheers.